Hello YouTube, Vlogoneric's Rants here, and this week my video is about how anti-SJW YouTubers have become so paranoid about social justice warriors that they have, in some ways, become just as bad as the people they claim to hate, and also caused some of them to employ SJW tactics. With that out of the way, let's begin. So, this was something I first noticed around 2 years ago. Back then, it was just atheism is unstoppable and alt-right 8072, live life 8072. I noticed this phenomenon when the drunken peasants responded to both. With the former, it was the whole thing with Jacqueline Glenn and the whole racism card, and with the latter, it was back in episode 145 where Joe called both Jacqueline Glenn and the Amazing Atheists social justice warriors, grouping them in with Cenk Uygur, over the Virginia live shooting thing that happened a couple of years ago. For me, it was like, holy shit, this guy, Live Life, is as bad as the SJWs he claims to hate. And as time went on, I started noticing that this started to spread throughout the septic community. Alt-right 8072 being the worst when it came to this, overusing the term regressive to the point where it became just a meaningless buzzword. More specifically, I've noticed an alt-right buzzword. Not the white supremacist wing. The white supremacists, for me, I call them the alt-right. But it's become a buzzword that the alt-right throw at people whom they disagree with, especially if they're on the left, since many of them think that all left-wingers are social justice warriors. It got worse, well, much worse, as the primaries started heating up for the 2016 elections in the US, where a lot more of the septic community went after Hillary Clinton, justifiably, and the stupid arguments against Trump, but then gave Trump a total free pass and made multiple stupid arguments and spreading idiotic conspiracy theories about Hillary, fueled by people like Alex Jones and Paul Joseph Watson. It was also about this time that members of the anti-SJW community started adopting a few of the tactics of the SJWs, namely attacking comedians as social justice warriors because, for instance, they said they were a feminist, or because they've made fun of the anti-PC movement, or they'll say that every single action movie and TV show over the last 2 or 3 years that has a strong female lead character, or even the hint of a feminist agenda, which can be, as mentioned as before, as simple as a female lead, is automatically feminist propaganda. Slither42 showed a big example of this paranoia shortly after the new Star Wars Episode 8 trailer. He left this comment. SJW Wars 2, the last white male! He then gets challenged and immediately moves the goalposts. James D. Speaking roles. 70% white males. White male. Still cries. New term. SJWM equals social justice white male. Julian Desjardins. 70% speaking roles are white males. All of the white males in this trailer. Luke, Kylo, Hux, 3 Knights of Ren probably. Till Star Wars VIII has 9 characters that speak. Slither42 in response. Pulling something that SJWs pull all the time. Did you just assume their genders? Hate speech! And then he made another comment. Of all the names you listed besides Luke, the last white male, are all evil characters. And of course you just assumed that the 3 unknown Knights of Ren are probably white because they are evil characters, lol. Thank you for proving my point. And of course, Darth Vader, Felix German, Crystal DM96, and Kenny Collins destroyed him. Darth Vader, Slither42. Being an evil character really means nothing. The point is there is white cast members and you need to stop your whining. An underdog. Dude, I had to laugh. Fuck you, mate, for making me laugh at it, but still have my like for making me laugh at it. Felix Herman. Why does race and gender matter anyway? The only important thing is that they can act. Kenny Collins. How insecure are you that you can't accept diversity? God, get over yourself. What's so bad about strong female leads and strong black leads? Guilt Seeker. Yeah, but Vader was black. Darth Vader. Guilt Seeker. I'm white and pasty as well as limbless. Flon Ma. Felix Herman. If the only important thing was that they can act, then they wouldn't let Daisy Ridley anywhere near the set. She has all the depth of a puddle in a car park, but at least she can waggle her eyebrows. Felix Herman in response to Fion Ma. I don't think she is a good actress either, but I still wouldn't say that it matters whether she's male or female. James D. She acted better than most of the cast. Crystal DM96. What about Poe? Lol. Me. at Kenny Collins. But my SJWs! Literally the OP's comment. And then, of course, there is the narrative that you have to agree with a piece of art in order to enjoy it. This is something that the SJWs do. The anti-SJWs have done this multiple times. That in and of itself is a major betrayal of the original values of the septic community. And then there's the loss of nuance. Firstly from the far right, although to be fair the far right never really had nuance in the first place. Then the regressive left, the SJWs, the third wave feminists and the 27 cultural Marxists that are left in the world. And now many anti-SJWs have lost nuance as well, especially when it comes to Islamic terrorism. We're not saying fuck Islam, fuck all Muslims. Islam is the only factor in all terrorist attacks ever. All Muslims are terrorists, we need to ban them / start killing them. Gets you labelled as an ISIS apologist by these septic community members. It's appalling. Now, Coctopus Prime summarised this in a long-winded way, but it's a great description of what many of these anti-SJWs have basically become over the last couple of years. Quote, right-leaning, Trump-loving, Muslim-hating, regressive-calling, apology-demanding, drama-loving, internet tribalist, echo chamber idiots, end quote. Pretty good description, I think. Now, I'm going to be honest, I don't go as far as say the outspoken realist, and say that anti-SJWs are just right-wing SJWs. I understand where he's coming from, but I do think he's stretching a bit too far. But honestly, I think this Friedrich Nietzsche quote would summarise what happened with the anti-SJWs a lot better. Quote, he who fights with monsters should look to it that he himself does not become a monster. And if you gaze long into an abyss, the abyss also gazes into you. Yeah. I think that accurately describes the situation. One final thing, and this goes towards the tribalism part, was what happened with Cult of Dusty recently. So, about a week ago, Lacey Green made a tweet saying, are all white people racist? It is my first question for you guys is, how do you define racism, and why is that definition ideal? And Dusty just made a joke about the SJW definition of racism. Of course he does, it's both Dusty and Lacey Green. Although apparently she's not as bad of an SJW as she was in this regard. So it would be a relevant joke, and tons of people failed to get it. And when Francesca challenged Dusty and failed to get the fact he was trolling Lacey and then her, suddenly the anti-SJW community decided to take this obvious, or at least what I would think is obvious, trolling, and decided to use it to attack Dusty. Of course, since Dusty is not part of the septic Sargonism community, and of course they fail to realise they're acting just like the SJWs, which is hysterically hypocritical considering that is the majority of what they talk about these days, and yet Dusty came out of it just a little bit stronger with about 1,000 new subscribers and a little bit of egg on many of their other faces. And finally, censorship. I honestly swear that Dave Rubin and Atheism is Unstoppable have Twitter block lists that are on par size-wise with the Twitter block list of Steve Shives. Also, flagging feminist and SJW YouTubers off YouTube. The recent examples being Tariq Nasheed and Kevin Logan. The former flagged off YouTube by fans of Jeff Holiday and Bunty King after Tariq had flagged videos of both. And the latter is probably one of the few social justice warriors willing to discuss things with his opponents, so flagging him was stupid. I know apparently he's flagged people before, but don't go down to their level when fighting them. Remember the quote about battling idiots from George Carlin? Quote, never argue with an idiot. They will only bring you down to their level and beat you with experience. End quote. So yeah, it's a real shame about what the septic community has become. A septic tank of idiots, ideologues, tribalists, and right-wing partisan hacks. That's why I call it the septic community. Maybe someday the community can return to being more rational and going after both sides instead of just attacking all left-wingers as SJWs and giving the right-wing SJWs all but a free pass. So, that is my video for this week. I hope you found it interesting. Please rate, comment, share, and subscribe, and have a great day, everyone.